David McCord in The Crows, written in 1934, said, "March is outside the door, flaming some old desire as man turns uneasily from his fire." Jane Howard in the book Families wrote, "Good families are fortresses with many windows and doors to the outer world." End quote. Hello once again, I'm Don Jackson. Doors offer us protection from the harsh realities of the world outside, and nothing can look so inviting after a vacation or if you've had a stressful day than the front door to your home. And then there are these kinds of doors. Do you remember the TV game show Let's Make a Deal? The host was Monty Hall, and the contestants wore the most outlandish costumes in order to be picked to be on the show. Inevitably, at one point, a contestant got to pick what was hidden behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. One of those doors would open onto new appliances or furniture for the home, but if the wrong door was picked, it opened to display a humorous junk prize. Thankfully, the contestants took it all in good fun, but sometimes the doors are opened for us. Terry Teachout in City Limits, published by Poseidon Press, wrote, "We are born into a vast room whose walls consist of 1,000 doors of possibility. Each door is flung open to the world outside, and the room is filled with light and noise. We close some of the doors deliberately, sometimes with fear, sometimes with calm certainty. Others seem to close by themselves, some so quietly that we do not even notice." End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, this hour, the doors. It was Charles Lamb who said, "Not many sounds in life, and I include all urban and rural sounds, exceed in interest a knock at the door." How he would have gaped at himself a year before, how everyone would have gaped. But when you opened your door at the rap of life, you let in many things. An excerpt from Head and Shoulders by F. Scott Fitzgerald and published in the Saturday Evening Post, February 21st, 1920. Bernard Gittleson, in the book How to Make Your Own Luck, published by Warner, said, "The Chinese call luck opportunity, and they say it knocks every day at your door. Some people hear it, some do not. It's not enough to hear opportunity knock. You must let him in, greet him, make friends, and work together." Matthew Perry in the New Zealand Herald said, "While this door is closing, another door is opening. It's our job to go find that door." And many years ago, even Helen Keller echoed similar sentiments, but she takes it one more step. When one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. Francis Gay, in the 1998 edition of his friendship book, wrote, "I do not know who invented it, but what a wonderful discovery the key was. They come in all shapes and sizes, from the huge ones for great castle doors to the tiny ones for jewelry boxes and caskets. Of course, they are often used for locking things away, for securing valuables. But surely for most of us, the most precious key of all is the one that opens our own front or back door. This is the key of our little bit of heaven here on earth." And speaking of heaven, Buddha reached the gate of heaven. Of course, the people there were waiting. They opened the door. They welcomed him. But he turned his back towards the door, looked at the world, millions of souls on the same path, struggling, in misery, in anguish, striving to reach this gate of heaven and bliss. The doorkeeper said, "Come in, please. We have been waiting for you." And Buddha said, "How can I come in? It doesn't seem to be the right time. How can I enter when the whole world has not yet entered? I will have to wait." It is said in this beautiful story that Buddha is still waiting. One of my favorite authors of fiction is III.Vangelis, who often delves into the human spirit in his thrilling espionage novels, usually set in Japan and the Far East. In one called Angel Eyes, one of the Japanese Yakuza leaders, or crime bosses, says to his soon-to-be new protege, a female warrior who refers to herself as Koi, "Zen riddles," Mrs. can say, are meant as doorways through which one may resolve the contradictions of one's own spirit. Hecate was a goddess in Greek mythology. One of Hecate's powers was that of driving away misfortune or bad luck from doorways. Speaking of bad luck and misfortune, Valerie Marchand, in the Anecdotes and Pleasantries column in the 1993 edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac, wrote about some interesting but old superstitions regarding doors. And I quote, "Shut doors behind us. For those who do not will never own a house. Be careful not to drop a key from a lock, lest an argument with someone will follow. Enter a house for the first time by the front door, for choosing the back door will bring misfortune to that home. Always answer the house doorbell when it rings, or risk losing a friend. Never hang garments on doorknobs. Roll the blinds up askew, or let a comb drop, for any of these actions will bring a disappointment." End quote. Christine Schultz, in an article in the 2001 edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac, said, "In Sweden, placing your keys onto a table opens the door to bad luck." End quote. Feng Shui tells us never to place a mirror across from a door that opens. It will end up pushing the chi, or good fortune, right out that door. And this interesting superstition from the book by Eric Maple. If the cat washes itself in the doorway, it means that a clergyman is due to visit the house. Sarah Teasdale wrote, "I thought I had forgotten, but it all came back again tonight with the first spring thunder in a rush of rain. I remembered a darkened doorway where we stood while the storm swept by. Thunder gripped the earth, and lightning scrawled the sky. The passing motor buses swayed, for the street was a river of rain, lashed into little golden waves in the lamplight stain. With the wild spring rain and thunder, my heart was wild and gay. Your eyes said more to me that night than your lips would ever say. I thought I had forgotten, but it all came back again tonight with the first spring thunder in a rush of rain." Yakimochi, a 7th century Japanese writer, penned, "When evening comes, I will leave the door open beforehand, and then wait for him who said he would come to meet me in my dreams." When I was a child growing up, we never had to lock our doors at night. All that has changed. Not only do we lock our doors, we also install monitored alarm systems and cameras. We may never be able to return to that simpler time, but you can certainly take advantage of warmer nights to come by getting out there and meeting the people who make up your community. You may find that they share many of the same concerns as you. Morris Mandel in Jewish Press wrote, "After several thousand years, civilization has advanced to the point where we bolt our doors and windows and turn on the burglar alarms, while the jungle natives sleep in open huts." James Joyce, in a letter to Nora dated 1909, wrote, "You are my only love. You have me completely in your power. I know and feel that if I am to write anything fine and noble in the future, I shall do so only by listening at the doors of your heart." It was Carl Sandburg who wrote, "Love is a door we shall open together." So they told each other under the moon one evening when the smell of leaf mold and the beginnings of roses and potatoes came on a wind. Edgar Allan Poe's character in the poem The Raven was fearful of what might be tapping at his chamber door, and hoping at the same time that it might be his lost Lenore. He tried to rationalize it away. Poe wrote, "'Tis the wind, and nothing more." His late-night guest was even more mysterious. It is sometimes the mystery itself involving the person that intrigues us. Margaret Mitchell in Gone with the Wind wrote, "The very mystery of him excited her curiosity, like a door that had neither lock nor key." How could I do a show on this topic without featuring the most famous doors of all? Hugh Chesterman in the 19th century wrote, "King Winter sat in his hall one day, and he said to himself, said he, 'I must admit I've had some fun. I've chilled the earth and cooled the sun, and not a flower or tree but wishes that my reign were done. And as long as time and tide shall run, as cold can be.'" There came a knock at the outer door. "Who's there?" King Winter cried. "Open your palace gate," said Spring, "for you can reign no more as king, no longer here abide. This message from the sun I bring, the trees are green, the birds do sing, the hills with joy are echoing. So pray, sir, step outside." You can imagine the racket that King Winter kicked up this year as Spring did everything within its power to bust down his door. I recorded a podcast some years back about doors. Of course, this show is a webcast. You might want to look that old podcast up and listen to it again. I started the show by getting you to guess what door you wanted to open on Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. Door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. It reminded me of this excerpt from The Lady or the Tiger by Frank Richard Stockton and written in 1884, and he poses an even bigger dilemma, and I quote, "He could open either door he pleased. If he opened the one, there came out of it a hungry tiger. the fiercest and most cruel that could be procured, which immediately sprang upon him and tore him to pieces as a punishment for his guilt. But if the accused person opened the other door, there came forth from it a lady, the most suitable to his years and station that his majesty could select among his fair subjects. So I leave it all with you. Which came out of the open door? The lady or the tiger? Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.